Hey design enthusiasts! Welcome to Next in Line Design, a podcast by the World Design Organization's Young Designers Circle. We're all about embracing a new mindset in design, one that's bold, innovative, and impactful. We're here to connect with the next wave of design talent and explore how you can use your creativity to make a real impact. Get ready for fresh ideas and inspiration from young designers around the world who are reshaping the industry. We're here to spark conversations, inspire change, and explore new ideas in design. But remember, these are just our perspectives on one big, evolving field. Please note that the opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official views of the World Design Organization or its affiliates. Let's dive in and see what's next in line. Welcome back to Next in Line Design. I'm Alexis Divis, and today we're going to do something a little different, a recap of the 2025 World Design Congress. The Congress brought together designers, leaders, and innovators from all around the world under one big theme, Design for Planet. And in this episode, I'm joined by two other young designers who were there alongside me to share what we saw, what we learned, and how it's shaping the way that we think about design and sustainability moving forward. We'll talk about everything from standout sessions to what it really means to be part of a global design community, especially as the young people still carving out our place in it. So today I have two special guests with me, Jana, who's in the World Design Organization Young Designer Circle with me. She's a brilliant designer originally from Spain, but now in Australia, and a new friend of ours that we met at the Congress, Molly. Molly is a super ambitious design strategist. She's based in London. So Molly graduated from Imperial College, and now she's working at Design Systems, bridging the gap between design, technology, and business. So with the three of us today, I know we're going to have a great conversation. So welcome, ladies.
Hi, thank you, Alexis. Nice to see you.
Hi, Alexis.
So great to see you guys. So let's dive in and talk a little bit about the World Design Congress. I would love to start with maybe each of you could give me your perspective. How would you describe your experience with the Congress in your own words? And what stood out most when you first arrived?
For me, it was definitely like the word that I would use is upskilling, because like I've been to many design events and conferences, but I feel like I never learned so much in just like 2 days, like the conference 2 days, and like all the speakers, all the keynotes were like super engagement, super like they would talk about different topics and they would like I would learn in each of them so much, because also like one of the things you learn in this kind of events is like design is just not one thing. There's so many parts to it, and yeah, I feel like it covers so many topics, like many different parts of design. Like it was everything. So I think upskilling is the word that I use to describe the event.
Yeah, and for me, I've been following the work of the Design Council and the World Design Organization throughout my time at university. So it was really exciting to hear that Data System is a member of the World Design Organization and that I was invited to come as a young delegate. That was really, really exciting for me. It was like my wow, I've made it as a designer moment. And walking into the Barbican on the first day, it was just incredible to be surrounded by so many like industry leading designers and architects and even policymakers. And I think just being able to be in that room, it's just an incredible experience. And yeah, like Jana said, everything that we learn, all of that upskilling is just so important for young designers like us.
Exactly. Love those takes. And just to add, I mean, the outfits, guys, like people were showing up and showing out. I saw some great fits at the Congress. That was definitely one of my first impressions. I was like, oh, maybe I need to bump it up for tomorrow. I didn't realize. But yeah, it was really, really awesome. It was a great venue, and the energy was definitely there, even starting on our first day. And so obviously the theme of the Congress was Design for Planet. That was very central in all of the conversations we were having, either in sessions or out of our sessions in the main hall during lunch. I would like to know, what does Design for Planet mean to you guys?
Yeah, I can go first. I think something, so design for planet, obviously sustainability is such a buzzword throughout my degree. Like I did sustainability modules and I read a lot of sustainability papers, but I've always called myself a human-centered designer, and that was something that I'm a human-centered designer. I'm going to design stuff that helps people and helps the people in our planet. But the concept of design for planet, I hadn't really thought about it in that way, if that makes sense. And I think it was is it Layla from Design Disrupts? She said we need to stop being human-centered designers and start being planet or nature-centered designers. And I think that kind of flipped a switch for me in terms of what design for planet means, because we're not just designing for the people on the planet, we're designing for the ecosystems around us, we're designing for the nature around us, and the longevity of that, and how we're going to push ourselves into the future and not just the now, if that makes sense.
I love that. And Jana, what about you? What's your take?
Same, like you read my mind, but I think also it's like I think everyone left that room thinking like, how would I not realize that before? Because like since they say like life-centered positive design, it's like, oh my god, of course. Like, how could we be so human-centered of us, of not thinking of all these factors and like just be like, oh, this product is already perfect because it has everything a human can want. It's like, well, no, actually, there's more to it. So I completely agree. And like I think that's like what is being taken in my head, and it's been like, oh my god, this is so, we have so much to do yet, because even when design is human centered, sometimes it doesn't even cover all the needs of like people with disabilities or anyone else. So it's like designing for planet is such a big word. Like it looks like we're not prepared to face it, but it's definitely the only way that we can actually do something and return to what nature has been giving us so far. So yeah, I'd say like same as Molly says, just like it's such an overwhelming word. No, like oof, we'll see how can we handle it. I don't know if for you it was the same, Alexis, but like I'm still like my mind's still thinking about it.
Definitely. I feel like I had a lot of aha moments when I was at the Congress. Like I would sit there and I'd be like, how did I not think about this before? Or like, I don't know. It feels like when you're a teenager, right? And you're like learning about the world and you're learning how to be an adult and you're like, I know everything. And then you graduate and you go off to uni or you start your first job and then you're like, actually, I know nothing. And it almost felt like that transition again. I went from like being like, oh, I know what this is going to be about. But then there were so many new perspectives and things to learn that I was like, it's a little daunting now to think about like, what does design for planet mean to me? And what will that look like in my career? Because the reality is we all have very different careers and they have different applications. So it was really, really kind of daunting, but exciting because I'm curious. So yeah, that was kind of my take on it. Any aha moments from you two, like as you were listening to sessions, anything that really stuck out?
I think when Indy from Dark Matters Lab, I think that's what it's called, when he said that we need to stop designing in the illusion of today and start designing for the impact on the future tomorrow. And I think that for me was like, it's so true, because we follow, as industrial designers, as designers, as business people, we follow the trends that come along with markets and economic change and AI and all of these things that we're driving as humans, and we're driving towards in a consumerist economy. And I think that was we need to stop thinking about what's next tomorrow, what's next as in today and tomorrow, but actually in terms of the long term, how does that have an impact on where we're going to be in 50 years time or 100 years time? And I think that was the bit for me that really was like, yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, there was like another aha moment to me. It's like there was so much people from all over the world, like literally from all over, like even both speakers, but also like attendees like us. And it's the way we see climate change or like sustainability, design for planet, the way we see these things are so different. And obviously, the problems that northern countries can have are so different for the problems that southern countries can have. So it's like it was like adding even more to think to the whole design for plants, like, but also it's like the way we, like the way, for example, northern countries approach sustainability is like maybe more like material wise, but like southern countries are like suffering maybe from other things. Like for example, I think it was like Priya that was talking about
Right.
fashion futures and like how to make it sustainability, and how like secondhand clothes end up in the southern countries is like another problem. Is like we think we're doing the right thing, but also there's more to it. It's like there's still like overconsumptions. It's like a wider problem, like intergenerational and like global, is so big that I was like, yeah, okay. The way I think is not the only way. Like some words that may look like they have one definition can be very different depending on who you
Mm,
are asking to.
yeah,
That's
and I
really
think it was sorry.
no, go ahead.
I think it was Justin from the Future Observatory who said that we need to start having more of a holistic view. And I think that that's also something that I think stuck with me and linked to everything from the Congress, because at the end of the day, we're in London, we're in a very wealthy, affluent country, within the UK, and a lot of us there are very, very lucky to be from where we're from. And I think having a bigger picture and actually understanding these other economic situations and the climate disaster that's happening in places that doesn't directly impact us but should. And I think that's a massive thing that I've definitely taken from it and I've thought about a lot in my spare time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And just to add, to those aha moments, one of the ones that I had was we had two guests on the podcast actually a little bit earlier in the season, Tasha and Bella Tanjukto, and they do a lot of amazing design work in the Philippines where they connect design to indigenous learnings and teachings. And there was a really great panel that I believe Tasha was in with our friend Ria, or maybe it was in the same room. Ria is our delegate from the UK. She was also speaking about some of the sustainability work that she's doing with her startup. But anyways, they were two wonderful young women in the same room, and they had a great conversation. And when Tasha brought in that perspective of like indigenous learnings, I had thought to myself, and I was like, wait, I have maybe no connection to like the indigenous people of where I'm currently living. Like maybe that's something that I should really look to. And I thought it was really impactful and amazing because that was a perspective that I didn't feel like was really championed like in my mindset. I wasn't thinking about it. So I really loved that one as well.
It's also, I'm from Spain, but like I'm living in Australia, and like here's like very big on like the Aboriginal history, and like how like it's like me as a person from outside, I come and like I'm learning about all this, but then at the conference it's like it was like a full circle moment, because it's like I get it now, like they are the ones who know nature the best. Like it's the like their knowledge on it is like we should appreciate it more, we should learn more from them. Like it made me want to read so much about it. Like it's incredible. Also in New Zealand, Maori people is like they they have this river, I don't know the name, I'm so sorry, but they like made it have full rights, like the same rights as a person as that. And I think that was crazy, but it was like it's such like a historic moments that like make so much impact for the future. Yeah, it's another aha. Yeah, it's like there were like so many things that keep coming. That is like, oh my god, another thing that I didn't think about before.
Yeah, and it was great energy to have because then when you had one of those aha moments, you were like walking to the next session. I know a lot of us walked in clumps or would find each other throughout the day, or we would, meet new friends and, find them in the halls while we were transferring over to the next whatever event we were attending. And it was fun to keep those conversations running in the halls and after hours at the events and even to the next day, which I think speaks a lot to how powerful it was to be there in person and making those networks. So, how was it for you guys meeting new people at the Congress, networking, sharing ideas? What was that like?
I think for me, something so, I've only been in a professional setting for just over a year now. And I think, on my day to day, meeting people has always been most powerful tool to get things done. And I think that is something that the world the World Design Congress has actually given us, is that opportunity to put our heads together and get stuff done. And I just hope that we're able to have more opportunities to get together and sit down together and put all of this, great knowledge and power and wealth of knowledge together, because that's the thing that will drive the change, and that's how we can design for planet better, is when we put all of that resource together. And I think that this Congress was such a good start point for that, and probably, I hope, an inspiration for a lot of people to actually get together in a room more often. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's like so inspiring to meet all these people, like some of them your age, most of them, like the ones I got along, especially coming from the young design circles. It was such an opportunity to meet so many of us. No, it is like we have to take advantage of these spaces where we can like share and like um talk from our point of views and like, be heard, and then also listen to somebody else and like completely change your mind. But yeah, it was like it's really like I'm very grateful that we have these spaces and these opportunities as young designers where we can expand our minds, share visions, and like just learn from others, other cultures, other young people, and also like different generations. So yeah, I would recommend everyone to not even like it doesn't need to be the biggest conference like design conference. It can be also in your like area, local area. Like there's also many things happening where you can just get together with other designers, and that also inspires you to keep going, keep learning, keep like doing things, not like keep you engaged, and like not just like do your 9 to 5 job and not think about anything else.
Absolutely. And I also feel that having the opportunity to attend in-person events like these and to network, especially with other young people, also helps me feel more confident in like my belonging in the design community. I feel like being a designer post-grad can be very daunting, or even a student. And just being early and being new. That sense of newness can make everything seem a little bit more scary than it is. And like you said, Jana, like collecting those different perspectives and challenging your ways of thinking is really the way that we all grow as a collective. So putting yourself into those situations can be a little scary, but so empowering and exciting and enriching when you do that. So do you guys feel like, or how do you feel that attending events like these, seeking out those perspectives, building these communities, what does it do to your sense of belonging and confidence as a young designer?
So I'm working in a very engineering focused company at the moment. I'm surrounded by engineers on a day to day. And, don't get me wrong, I'm an engineer also, but I'm a designer at heart. And I think sometimes I think there's a certain fire that needs to be fueled as a designer. And I think you need to be surrounded by like minded people in order to do that. And I think the minute I walked into that room, I knew that I was with my people, and we light each other up. And I think that's that sense of belonging that you're talking about, is being able to bounce ideas off of each other and to collaborate and to bring these crazy thoughts that we have, and getting them down together on a piece of paper and actually thinking like, that's not actually a bad idea, because sometimes an engineering mindset is a bit rigid. And I think that creativity and that freedom to actually explore those ideas like we had, and that opportunity at the Congress, and also in the assembly the day after, getting those ideas together and actually being able to think together, that to me is belonging. And that was proof for me that, okay, it's okay that you call yourself a designer despite working in such an engineering focused organization.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It's actually true. For me, being able to attend to like events, like conferences, all that has been such a game changer in my career. Like I started it like very early and starting on my degree. And I feel like I don't know, it gave me so much like motivation, like learning about all these people and like talking, especially because sometimes it's like it feels like you're doing all these things, but if you don't connect with other people, like what you were saying, Alexis, like if you don't collaborate, then it's like, am I is just me thinking this, or is this just it? Like it's just like sitting in front of a laptop and doing this and that's it. And like from very early in my career, being able to attend to like event design events and meeting other people that also like was motivated to do things, and they would like also encourage me to do things, and like that's been such a game changer. And I think everyone that like wants to be a designer should also do these things, because like it's not only the people you meet and the connections you do, but it's also the things you learn in these things, and like how they impact you and shape you as a designer.
Absolutely. I think that's a great reason for any young person to go. Great pitch. I like it. So I think another piece that I want to ask you guys about is that post-Congress feeling and excitement. So we learned a lot, we absorbed a lot of information. I know I had to like take a lot of notes because there were so many good tidbits that I didn't want to lose. And now we're post-Congress, and I'm definitely still feeling inspired, and I know that you guys probably are too. So after all the excitement has been said and done, how are you guys going to focus in on designing for Planet and your own careers going forward?
um for me, I was so overwhelmed like with informations, like what do I do with all this learning. So I started first writing it, and then, by the way, like there's a newsletter coming out on the WDO, and there's an article that me and Risha wrote. So if you want to check it out, that's like a little bit of like a sum up of the Congress and the learnings. A very sum up, because it's like you can't squeeze so much information in just so little. But also, it's also we also did a this workshop with Design Declares, which was very helpful because they gave us their cards, like um it's like a design for climate change cards, like they help you.
One a week, right?
Sorry.
It's like
Yeah,
one card a
yeah,
week. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So they help you incorporate like all these nature positive habits in your design practice, or even in your life, or whatever you choose to incorporate it in. So it's been so helpful because it's like it gave me more perspective, and also like somehow it's like, okay, I can do this, and like then I can do this, and like little by little that will make sense, and I'll be more, my practice will be so much more conscious of like nature, and like life positive design, or anything that I do will be more in connection with it. So yeah, I'd say like it's overwhelming after, but like after some days you can put your thoughts down and like check your notes, and like it will make sense. And like if you're willing to do it, then there you go. You already have all this information. So it's a great starting point.
it is. And Molly, what about you?
Yeah, for me, I'm coming from a slightly different perspective, approaching this from a bit more of a business context, if that makes sense. And I think, it's not about how I, as an individual designer, I'm going to have an impact on this, because I don't have a personal design practice. I'm more helping my organization implement that in a much bigger ship, if that makes sense. And big ships are very difficult to steer. And I think for me, something that I'm taking away from it is, making sure that I'm having those conversations, making sure that I'm able to be a bit more of a lighthouse that our ship needs to be steering towards, if that makes sense. And I think it's also, for me, Design for Planet is not going to work unless big organizations and designers get together and sit down and start having that conversation. And I think it was in the Designing the Economy That Matters or something talk that we had at the Congress, that someone said that design and business don't respect each other at the moment. And I think that is
Yeah.
a massive problem, is that our economy, we're, as designers, designing for an economy that doesn't actually understand what design is and what the impact that design can have is. And I think that's, for me, where we can make the biggest impact when we're coming to Design for Planet, is implementing those strategies, and actually shaping it so that we're incentivized to move towards sustainability, as organizations, as big organizations. And I was in the From Lab to Market talk, and we were able to have these breakout conversations, and I sat down in the breakout with the Design Council, and it was about how do we position sustainability as a value proposition. And for me, that was really interesting, because most of the people in that circle came from startups. And I think, as businesses, as corporate settings, we should be learning from startups, because they're much easier to steer. And what can organizations like mine learn from startups, but also what can startups learn from such economy drivers like corporate organizations. And I think that, for me, long-winded way of saying that's coming from a business context, how can we use strategy to design for planet?
I love that, Molly. So in my role, I am an experienced designer in the healthcare space at a very large corporation. So I feel very similarly, like big ships are definitely hard to steer, Molly, but you can break the ship down into like the different cabins, if you will. And I feel like my cabin, my little design group, was a great place to start. So post Congress, I had like a little lunch and learn chit chat with my team, and I, shared, of course, the cute pictures, but also a lot of the learnings and sessions that were really inspiring to me, even if on a surface level, I wanted to share the fun things too. So of course I talked about like the Zaha Hadid architecture talk and all of the things that might not on a surface level be super relevant to designers working in the healthcare space, but still very cool. But one of the tidbits that I pulled actually that I loved was we are designers in our roles, right? But we are also designers like outside of our 9 to 5s. And something that I loved was like, okay, how can I look at design for planet as a challenge outside of my job as well, and in my life, and in the way I approach the design of my life. And there's a book that I love called Designing the Life You Love by Isa Bursell. And it's a bit of like a breakdown, like journal through deconstruction look at the way that you live your life. And so that was sort of one way that I looked at it. I was like, okay, if I don't see an immediate application that I know I can tackle today, how can I tackle it personally and break that ship down into smaller pieces? And then going back into work, I work on digital products. And I was like, geez, I've never even thought about the sustainability impact of a digital product, because I studied physical products in school and I understand, the sustainability impacts of different physical materials. I wasn't thinking about, the carbon footprint of my websites. And I was like, oh, geez, Louise, like I have quite a bit of learning to do there. And some of the great ladies from the Design Declares workshop that we attended on the assembly day connected me with some different resources in New York. It was New York City Climate Week, like the week after, and I returned. So that was a great way for me to keep the learning going. But yeah, so those are some of my tidbits there. I don't know if you guys looked at like Design for Planet in the terms of your own lives outside of your design practice, but I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, totally. I think it's both a little bit. But yeah, there's so much, even not like thinking of design, but also like what you were saying, no? How can you incorporate it in your own circle, even if it's at work or like your own family or your friends? It's like keep going with these conversations, keep having these conversations, questioning things, asking, and that also helps. Everything is adding, no?
I think it was a conversation we had with your young designers circle and a couple of us delegates about how influencers and social media can drive this kind of more sustainable mindset. And I think that's something that anyone listening to this podcast can do, is make sure that we're buying sustainably when we're talking about consumerism. Are we using reusable water bottles? It's such a small thing, but that's huge. And are we buying fashion that is from either from slow fashion, or if it's secondhand, are we buying from materials that are able to decompose as opposed to polyesters and synthetics? And I think those little shifts are things we can do on a day-to-day basis, that anyone can do to think a little bit more sustainably. But at the end of the day, it does come down to larger corporations to make a bigger impact.
Yes, but that's a great thought. Like the trendiness of sustainability. Like, how do you make these positive behaviors catch on? Like making sustainability like sexy, if you will. Like, what kind of products are hot right now that people are wanting to buy? Like, the water bottles is actually funny because we all saw how popular, especially in the US, like Stanley Cups, for example, got like extremely popular, but then it became like, I have 70 Stanley Cups because I buy one at every single every single launch because I want one in every colorway. And it's like, okay, well that's taking it actually slightly too far. But do you guys see any sustainability trends that you're really loving right now? Or is there a trend that you'd love to see catch on and, become just amazing for young people and everyone really?
I think something I'm really bad at, but I love, is having like a minimalist wardrobe. and just being able to buy basics that are good quality, sustainable, going to last a long time and not go out of fashion. I think something we see it all the time is certain prints are in fashion for a couple of seasons and then they go out of fashion. Certain colors like butter yellow, people wear butter yellow that maybe shouldn't wear butter yellow, but that's another another question. But what these things that are so small but come into fashion for such a very, very short period of time, I think we need to be, as a generation especially, buying pieces that are much more conscious. Are we raiding our mum's wardrobes? Are we looking in our own wardrobes? And I think that's actually a concept that I love when it comes to de-influencing, is actually shopping in your own wardrobe. Are we actually opening our wardrobe and seeing, do we have pieces that can fit those trends, but do they already exist in our wardrobe, before we go and shop on Vinted or Depop or some of these high street shops as well? But are we actually looking through our own wardrobe and seeing, actually that's quite similar to what she's wearing on Pinterest and stuff like that? And I think that's a huge thing for me.
Yeah, I think it's not a trend, but it's like everything that is like overproduction, overconsumption, and over is like already wrong. And it's like, even if it says it's sustainable, it not always means that like you can do it so many times that it's always going to be sustainable. It's sustainable if you do it or you buy it one, two times, but then that's pretty much, no? And like the same happens when like traveling, or like even like some people be like, oh yeah, but I travel by train, or I did it this way, or it's like, well, yes, but how many planes have we taken in like in 1 year? And like I'm guilty first because like I live so far away.
Mhm.
But it's like there's so many things that's like, even if it says sustainable, people is like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I can do it so many times because it's sustainable. It's like the water bottle, right? It's like, oh well, it's sustainable. I can buy 70 in different colors. It's like, well, is that actually what are you doing after you use it for so long that you can't use it anymore? Are you just throwing it out, or are you recycling correctly? It's like, it's I think the trends like buying is what is like buying without thinking of later, what am I doing with it, or how am I gonna use this? Am I gonna use it long enough to actually be sustainable, or I'm just looking at the tag and clear my hands like I'm out.
How many Labubas will we see in the thrift shops? Time, like, right, ladies? Like, it's gonna be crazy. But I love the theme that we're circling in on here, which is like, how can we creatively approach, the items that we own and things that are already existing to sort of combat that mindset that it seems like everyone's seeing on social media, on TV, on their daily walks, like just buying, 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 and that over consumerism. So it's really cool to see how we can creatively approach it in different ways. So we're wrapping up our episode. We're hitting our minute mark, unfortunately. It's been so lovely, though. I was wondering, as a last note for today's podcast, are there any resources or pieces of advice that you'd like to share with some of the other people who might be watching, listening in today, on designing for planet, on building communities as young people, anything from any of the themes that we talked about today that you'd like to hit home again, share some advice or resources on?
Well, I feel like I need advice. No, but like from what based on what I learned, um, I would say that we have to be original, and we have to actually think and learn that sustainability is an opportunity, and it can drive business, like take them like leadership, and like drive them so much far away than what our minds are currently seeing. It's just like a whole mindset change. But I think us as like young people, like we have to start thinking about this and really like, I don't know, be original. I think we can make it. We just have to be hopeful, and yeah, like do what we can to drive the change.
For me, I think I have three things. Those are my three final points. One would be not to be scared. I think the Congress, it made me quite bit upset at times. I think it's a lot of very, very hard stuff to hear, but I think it was quite a positive light on the first day. And I think we should take that positive energy, and we do have an influence, we do have power to change. My second one is to, any young designers, don't stop asking questions, don't stop challenging your lecturers, your bosses, your friends, your family about what they're doing for the planet. I think that's a huge one. And the third one is, like, we should be getting together, we should be sharing our knowledge, putting our heads together, coming to events like the Congress, and actually working out as a generation how we can move forward and how we can drive real change, because we're the only ones who are going to do it, I think. So those are my 3 final points.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for your time today and your thoughts. I'm so excited that we were all able to connect in person in London. And I'm so looking forward to see how we stay connected in the future and how we each approach sustainability in our own lives moving forward. So thank you so much.
Amazing. Thanks for having us, Alexis.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here and share this conversation.
And as a final note, I just want to say thank you so much to the Next in Line Design podcast team. We've got a team doing podcast notes, a team behind the scenes, recording all of the episodes, and then, of course, all of our amazing hosts and guests from the season. But apart from them, we also have a great team at the WDO that's been so supportive of this project. So thank you so much, Natalie, Sarah, and Tutram, for helping us with every episode. We brought a lot of great stories to the table this season. We've inspired a lot of young designers and given them, a great platform to share their stories. So thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts at the YDC. It's been a great way to form an amazing international community of young people, and I can't wait to see what we do next. Thank you. Next in Line Design is the podcast for designers by young designers. We hope that you really enjoyed today's episode. We've got some really exciting conversations coming up that we can't wait to share with you. Every episode, you're going to have the chance to meet a new member of the YDC. So enjoy our rotating cast of designers, and feel free to reach out in the comments just to say hey, maybe to share some feedback, your story, or tell us more about the kind of conversations that you'd like to be hearing. In the meantime, make sure to subscribe to the WDO's channels and hit that notification bell so that you never miss an episode. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you back here soon with more of Next in Line Design.